despite the warnings.
Do not come, people can be arrested.
The powerful message couldn't be stopped.
Today is Invasion Day.
In Melbourne, thousands demanded to change the date or more.
We want the date abolished. The injustice and the racial discrimination still happens today, and it's been happening since the first fleet arrived.
Organisers urged COVID safety with masks and groups of 100 allowed.
Just remember that we're one of the most vulnerable communities when it comes to COVID, and keep each other safe.
While in Brisbane, thousands checked in with QR codes.
2021 isn't about appealing to nobody. It's about drawing that line in the sand and standing on that right side.
Adelaide marchers were told to bring masks and sanitiser.
We all stand here today as one, as brothers and sisters, as family.
While hundreds in Canberra sat outside Parliament House.
We are strong, we are proud, and not only that, we are loud.
Sydney's more than 2,000 strong protest went ahead in groups of 500.
There have been third persons arrested. With the exception of those few at the end, they were compliant, they were socially distant, and I thought they were very well behaved.
An overall peaceful call for both reflection and action.
Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land. Always was.
Ian Brown helped organise the Sydney protest, and he joins us now. Ian, it felt like it was primed for a clash between protesters and police in the build-up to this. In the end, are you happy with how police handled things?
Yeah, I'm really happy with how the police has handled things at the end of the day. I do give tops to the Sydney local area command. They did everything within their power to make this as peaceful as possible, and we were happy to oblige with them, you know, so long as they met us at that table and had that yarn. So kind of give and take from both parties.
Ian, the Prime Minister said today in a radio interview that today is a day just to come together to be thankful for being Australian, regardless of our experiences, differences and disagreements. I'm wondering, when you hear a quote like that, what do you make of that sentiment?
To be honest with you, I'm left a bit speechless. At the end of the day, it does represent Invasion Day and a day of mourning for our people. And I can't see us coming together as a country and celebrating such a day, especially when the rates speak for themselves and statistics that affect Indigenous people and First Nation people throughout Australia. They aren't in the best of situations. We're still at a disadvantage on our own country. It's been 233 years since our first contact here, and our situation hasn't got much better.
So with all of those things that you've expressed and the depth of that sort of pain, if a different date was found, would you be able to celebrate the country? Or is it too difficult for you to do that no matter what the date is?
I'll tell you now, Waleed, we would happily celebrate our country. We got big love for our country, and especially for Australia and for our homelands. Like, the relationship that First Nation people have to the land and to this country in particular is something that's profound in my eyes.
Ian, it does seem like younger people are more willing to support changing the date. I mean, even right down to education, like what I was taught in school, like Australia's history pretty much started at colonisation, whereas like my kids, you know, they're 6 and 4 and they're getting Indigenous education from preschool up. Does that give you a sense that it will just eventually happen? It'll be part of a generational move?
Definitely. I feel like it's going to be a part of a generational move, you know, and I may not see it within my lifetime, but my kids might and my grandchildren might. You know, so that gives me hope. And at the end of the day, until that day comes about, we're still going to be out here on these streets protesting and, you know, fighting for the justice that we deserve as First Nations people.
Ian, there is a huge amount of support for changing the date, but a poll this week found that almost half of the Australians polled still wanted Australia Day to stay on the 26th. How do you have the conversation, I guess, to change those people's minds?
Well, it's about sitting down with First Nation peoples and having that yarn. You know, I'm a big believer in the power that having a yarn with a First Nation person can have on anybody, to be honest with you. Sitting down and really getting to understand the people and what their experiences are and what they go through on a daily basis. You know, I went to University of New South Wales myself, and a lot of the students that I interacted with never met an Indigenous person, and I was the first one that they met, and that was, you know, when they were 18, 19, 20 years of age. So that speaks volume to all the disadvantages that First Nation people face here. So it's about that conversation and how we really engage with the number of people that want to actually keep the date, because I don't think they understand the sensitivity around it.
Well, thanks for having a yarn with us tonight, Ian. Good to hear that the protest went off well and peacefully, and we appreciate your time.
No worries. Thanks, Waleed.
With so much content online, it's sometimes hard to keep up with it all. And let's face it, who has the time? The Project YouTube has you covered with the stories that matter. Hit subscribe for a daily list of the news that you need to know.